Okay, so giant steps, the holy grail of jazz students. Most jazz students are struggling with this song at some point, and some people love it, other people hate it. I'm not gonna get into the history of this song. I'm not a scholar. I'm just gonna show you some licks, because this is the kind of song or tune that you need an arsenal of licks to pull up when you're playing, because it's fast. And it doesn't matter how good your ears are and how good you know your scales, how well you know your scales. Unless you have some kind of actual things that work over this tune, it's gonna be very hard to play over this tune. So I'll show you the most obvious ones. First, we need to kind of divide the song into two different things. You have this thing, which is a kind of a bass pattern, I guess. And then you say the thing from G. Then you have a bunch of so-called short 2/5s. And I have a previous lesson on moment's notice where I show you some licks that you can use over those short 2/5 ones. So I'm going to use those, and I'm going to use this pattern over the first section, which is the most common one, I guess. Coltrane plays that, and he plays it really fast, obviously. So it's root 9, 3rd, 5th. You do that from each chord. There's a really good book that explains this kind of thing, Melodic Structures by Jerry Brigonzi. He really goes over this stuff, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to play this pattern, and on the short 2/5 ones I'm going to play, so on the minor chord I'm playing 1, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 5. So let's see what that sounds like. So right now we're actually not playing really fast. This tune is supposed to be played, or the original recording is way faster than this, right? But okay, so next example is also from the actual solo of the original recording. It's always good to learn from the recording. Like, you might say, well, I don't want to sound like John Coltrane, and then I would say, don't worry. Very few of us sound like John Coltrane. I certainly don't. I always think it's nice to kind of pay homage to the original recording. When you're soloing, if you can throw in a little hint to the original solo, it's kind of, you know, respectful, I think. So I don't have a problem with that at all. Obviously, you don't want to be playing this solo note for note on a jam, then you're not really jamming, right? So, but it's always good to study the original recording, especially in a case like this with such a monumental piece of jazz history, right? So anyway, here's the second lick over the backing track. Okay, moving on here. Now we're gonna divide the major chord and the dominant chord. So it's major 7, dominant, major 7. So for the major 7 we're playing 3, 1, 2, 3. So the dominant chord we're playing root, root 7, flat 7, root. So okay, so you could play the first phrase on every chord actually. But I'm gonna do the example 3, I guess it is here, over the backing track. Next one is kind of similar. Same idea, but I'm reversing the direction of the notes. Instead of it's again, you could do that all over every chord if you want to. Let's see. But now we're gonna go. So I guess it's 9, flat 7, 5, 1. Okay. Okay, next one I've came up with myself, but it's based on a very common idea, and the idea is that you replace the dominant chord with its related 2 chord. So instead of going B major, D7, you're going B major 7, A minor, which is basically the same thing, kind of same thing. G, F minor, E flat. The idea here is that it's easier somehow, I think, for the brain to go B, A, G, F. It's so you can, the brain can faster think about those that bass line. So if I play arpeggios, starting with a B, descending, and then an ascending A minor, like that. That works, so let's see what that sounds like. This last one is a little bit weird. If you play a major 7 flat 5 arpeggio of the B, you can move that a half step up, because the C major 7 flat 5 arpeggio works over D7. It's what's called, sometimes referred to as a piano voicing. Because piano players tend to play those kinds of structures with the right hand. So then you go to the next, which would be G major 7. You go up a half step there. Or a little bit weird, but let's see what it sounds like. Alright, so hopefully you got something out of this, and remember, try to come up with your own little phrases that could work. Try to see if you can come up with your own way to play giant steps. That's the challenge, right? So, see ya!